Without a doubt, the most impactful part of Elite Dangerous is the experience. The feeling of actually being inside the ship, experiencing those key moments of the game. So, today I'll be looking at 10 such moments, things that leave us breathless or captivates us, even after a repeat, experience. Oh, and this video is sponsored by Simulogix, the developers of Prosperous Universe, but more on that later. Now, unlike my usual top lists, each of these are not numbered or considered better than the others. See, an experience, much like humor, is subjective thing, so it's kinda hard to rank. So, without further ado, let's begin with passing through the mail slot. Not only the mail slot blocks off the supposed pressurized inner cylinder with landing pads and ships moving to and from the cold, dark and empty vacuum of space, but through clever use of sound to indicate high energy fields for the barrier blocking any music or sound during the passing moments, visuals to indicate the force field as well as the mail slot in of itself to be only narrow enough for the largest ship to pass through, often bringing up the good old stuck beluga joke. It all truly makes it clear that you are either leaving or arriving into this safe harbor.
Taking damage.
It is that first moment that any player will be kinda forced to notice, especially due to audio design that Elite sound team has crafted. So the next unique and Elite defining moment is the Hyperspace Jump itself. From the countdown rocket launch-like startup of the jump, to the weird squiggly wiggly timey-wimey nature of the hyperspace, to the final massive explosive arrival at the destination accompanying with yet another great sound design, makes for, well, honestly a nice screensaver. Well, if people still used those. But jokes aside, the Hyperspace Jump in functional terms is just a loading screen. However, it's the best kind of a loading screen. One that does not break the immersion and flow of the game. Elite back in the day, like a few other games, proved that to make an immersive gameplay, you should not plaster your player's vision with typical menu screens. Instead, you can use this time in a clever and beautiful way to continue the gameplay experience that the player was already having, allowing limited player action but still enough to make it feel quite seamless. And here's another old one. In fact, a rather rare moment. Well, at least back in the day. The massive, impactful hyperspace blast with a shroud of space mist followed by the most chilling horn honk. Out comes the capital ship. I still recall hunting combat zones back in the day for this particular moment, just to see the capital ship appear. If nothing else, this was the moment when you realized shit just got real. If we are talking about experiences, then where would this list be without the pinnacle of immersion that is VR? Funny that despite having Index myself, I rarely use it for Elite. Well, mostly cause filming with it is, well, challenging when you have a headset on. Regardless, today we talk about experiencing Elite, and there is no better way to feel how Elite plays but to actually be immersed into it fully. Like what I do with my face and the chocolate fountain or tits. It's been said time and time again, but even I admit, playing Elite with VR headset is almost like a new experience. Everything from a small detail like getting up off the chair and looking around the cockpit, to actually having a better grasp of your ship's flight capability and velocity during combat or racing, thanks to not having your field stuck to one position, is something to behold. So, if you have a chance, at least try it out. While playing around in Elite, it's interesting that only a small fraction of players will decide to leave the human bubble, and a fraction of those left will ever decide to try going on an expedition later. But those that do decide to see what else is out there beyond the human frontier will find some interesting planets, systems, even nebulae to check out. But in my opinion, none of them is as unique and interesting as to seeing a black hole for the first time. Even more so, getting to the galactic center to the supermassive black hole. Personally though, since they made it quite uglier, I prefer to visit one of these types myself, but the point is, the way these celestial objects in particular are represented in Elite is something that you must experience in my opinion. In Elite's universe, we're not alone. That became clear to newcomers of this game series when one day, out of literally nowhere, someone got pulled out of hyperspace. The moment that the good old loading screen turned gameplay experience that seemed as solid as rock suddenly crumbles and your ship starts violently shaking. You have no control, so you panic. Then get pulled out and your ship is dead all of a sudden. Only for moments of panic to be disturbed by pure dread as unknown craft slowly veers into your field of view in front of your ship. And now that is a masterfully done moment that is probably one of the highlights in the entire game. Kinda sad that they removed this scripted version and replaced it with lesser feeling playable though. Speaking of Targo, it's another related and rather creepy vibe-like experience regarding to this all-female-like insectoid Xenos can be gained by visiting one of their planetary bases. Here you'll need a Targoid sensor or a probe to get inside the building itself, but to this day, not only the area is seemingly being salvaged or upkept by those scavenger skimmers, bots, but we also have no clue what these are really supposed to be. Inside you'll find a more claustrophobic environment with those centerpiece consoles of sorts, which once activated will do one of three things. Nothing, show a pretty light show in the ceiling, or, like an American looking at the third world countries with oil, go ape shit! Now that's an experience! Now, on a bit more positive side, the community too has to be experienced, I think. More dedicated explorers out there once in a while, for one or another reason, will organize expeditions to far reaches. Usually these events start with a grand, big unison jump, and frankly, being part of such an event is something worth your time. Events of note like these relatively are rare, but having taken part in at least one, even in a smaller fashion, still brings a sort of a camaraderie and union for the participants. It's one of those rare gaming moments that really lets you appreciate the community you're part of. You've probably seen this in a movie somewhere, but experiencing a canyon run in your own ship is still something that I think a lot of people would at least find amusing. Especially in a very fast 900 meter a second engineered zoomer. Well, while building such a ship is a task on its own, and then getting to a planet just to end up as abstract art on one of the corners in the first 5 minutes might put you off. Well, at least try it, especially if you're using VR. And last but not least, one of the best moments in Elite Dangerous is subscribing to my channel. Well, okay, fine. Glad you're just watching anyhow. No, the real moment here is a rock. Yes, this rock. Well, rather getting your rocks off. Indeed, deep core mining is one of the rather impactful and interesting things to experience. Well, unless you're under the stress of grinding. Yet again, Frontier sound team as well as effects/animation team provide an umphy moment as you first place the charges carefully on those rocks and in one big fell swoop crack open a rock. No doubt asteroid fields are one of the space beauties that no self-respecting space game or movie is complete without. But what do you do once you're there? Crack a nut. Sit on a rock. Explode something. Best of all, most explodable rocks are profitable, so pairing pleasure with profit is something only hookers and drug dealers can claim. Well, now you too. An asteroid miner. What indeed an experience. But in case you're looking for some kind of a different experience, maybe today's sponsor, Simulogix, and their game Prosperous Universe might be a thing for you. Yet again, I get a sponsor who simply wants me to talk about their game without the pressure of talking points. So let's then pay bills and just explain what is Prosperous Universe. Simply put, it's a kind of a space trading economics simulator without the in-between crap like piloting a damn space truck. It's rather managing your stats, finances and other aspects from a convenience of a neat UI. Funny thing is, these guys were on my radar since 2019 or 18 I think, and I wanted to include their work in my space game roundups. I've seen them grow for a long time, so I was surprised and frankly happy to see them pop up again. So if you're interested in the game, go check it out on the link in the description, and remember, it has a free version too, so if trading and economics is your thing, why not? In any case, there you go, the list of 10 experiences in one convenient list. But as I noted at the start, it's all subjective. So if you got a few key moments I did not mention, well, why not make your own list down below? But that aside, now you can go and check out all other lists that I've made. Or if you want to support my work I do here more, well, check out the Patreon link down as well. And as for now, well, all hail immersion!